you make a good point about the structure, and I think this is one thing that, when people review Solskjaer, and we'll get to Solskjaer in a second, it's not just him, it's the players. There was that very poignant scene at the end when Solskjaer goes over to thank the fans. He gets some boos, and Bruno Fernandes flips out and says, no, point at us, boo us, boo us. I thought that was a bit fugazi myself.
Yeah, of course.
But whatever. It could have in that game, based on the way he played in that game, Fernandes could have just been pointing at himself the whole time. But I don't. This is what I don't understand, and you touched upon it there, right? Remember all those stories? There's going to be an emergency board meeting. You and I were texting, Mark, and we said, "What I think you said, the board meeting is basically Ed getting on the phone with Joe Glazer. Well, with just one Glazer. Yeah. What the hell's Avram going to do, right? So. Right now, you have a situation where you have Joe Glazer, who, let's face it, nobody likes, and you have Ed Woodward, who's leaving, and his track record isn't tremendous.
But you also have Matt Judge, who is clearly...
The contracts guy?
Yeah, not very good chief negotiator. Arnold, I'm not even sure what Arnold really does, but clearly is inefficient.
But this is what I wonder about the decision-making process. So in a normal club, in a normal situation, rather than linking Darren Fletcher to the job, which I thought was one of the dumbest things I've ever heard. I hope that was never seriously, not because Darren Fletcher's a bad guy, even though he has no coaching experience. You're grooming him to be your director of football, right? You're grooming him for this technical role. Why lump him in with these other things?
I saw him on the pitch before the derby. He was there, like a warm up with all the players and stuff. It looked like he was part of the technical staff more than anything.
Okay, so do you have any insight? Who will be making the decision? Because I think Fletcher, if you're going to put him in that role, Fletcher should be a big part of the decision-making, because in a normal structure, that is who does it, right?
John Murtaugh as well.
And your buddy John Murtaugh as well, I guess. But those people should be talking, and frankly, maybe Ed Woodward should be consulted, but also he's not going to be there to pick up the pieces because he's leaving.
Yeah.
Is that how it's going to work?
It's a shambles.
He's a very, very small power base at Man United. Ed Woodward has been the gatekeeper to the Glazers forever, basically. And when he goes, it'll be Richard Arnold, who is, as close to Ed Woodward as Ed Woodward is to the Glazers. That they've got a very tight relationship, as we've discussed in the past, Gab, that their association predates Man United, the banking industry, and goes back to the University of Bristol. So they're very close. Yeah. But that is it. It's a very, very small decision-making team. It'll be Joe Glazer advised by Ed Woodward or Richard Arnold, and that'll be it. Now,
so Fletcher's not going to be involved in a decision. What is the point of having these people around?
But the thing is, Gab, it's Darren Fletcher's first job in football. He's been doing it for 6 months. Now, let's be honest, Darren Fletcher may have an opinion, but it's wrong of the club to appoint somebody in that role in his first job. It's such a big decision to make at such a big club. I fear that John Murtaugh and Darren Fletcher will be asked to go out and identify people, but they'll ultimately be ignored, because all Man United do is go for the biggest name, the most eye-catching commercial sign they can make, and all the work that goes on behind the scenes is kind of thrown into the bin because they're not a big enough name. If John Murtaugh and Darren Fletcher suggest Graham Potter for the Man United job, do you think he's going to get the job, or will they go for Pochettino or Zidane because the bigger names? That's the danger.
Well, what's interesting with the big name thing, though, to be fair to this, you say that, Mark, but being Mr. Contrarian, Jules, I would point out Solskjaer, not a big name. Louis van Gaal at the time, frankly, because remember they appointed him, it's not like all of a sudden you're getting, Mourinho obviously was bling, and a big name. Moyes definitely not, right? So I don't want to sit here and stick up for Ed Woodward, but I don't know that that's necessarily fair that they always just go for the biggest name.
Well, Gab, let me just go back on those, right? So Solskjaer was basically a publicity stunt is probably too much, but it was a move to appease the fans and just to buy themselves some time. Ole used to play for the club. Everyone loves Ole. Bring Ole in. Mourinho was a reactive move because Pep Guardiola had taken a job at City and they needed somebody to match that, so they went for Mourinho. 2 jobs too late, basically. Louis van Gaal had been out of football club football for 4 years. That was a stupid move because they tried to get Klopp, promised him the Disneyland of football, he rejected it. They missed out on Simeone. So they make bad appointments. They haven't made a good appointment since Fergie in 1986, and that was a different board.
Even that,
David
the
Moyes was
beginning
seventh
looked like
choice, the wrong choice.
Even that at the beginning looked not like the right call.
I was just pointing out they don't necessarily go for the big names. Maybe we might, if it's not Pochettino, it could be somebody left field. Jules, what do you think of Poch as a solution? Would he do better with this group of players? Well, than Solskjaer, probably. But
I've been seeing him now in Paris for almost a year, let's say. There's still part of me who wonders if he can be a super big club guy. Because at Spurs, it worked in a very special environment at the time where there was no pressure, certainly, apart from trying to finish top 4, but not more than that. To going to in a dressing room where there was no egos, where everybody was basically listening to every single word to the comma that he was saying. In Paris, he's finding it very difficult because it's such the opposite extreme to what he had at Spurs. And I think that going to United in the mess that it is currently would be far more similar to what he has as PSG now than what he used to have at Spurs 5 years ago. And I just don't know how well can he respond to that. Okay, maybe being back to England, feeling that everybody really wants him there, trust him, not having a sporting director like Leonardo where it's not always the best of relationship, and maybe won't find it difficult with the United dressing room. But it could also be very similar to what he has in Paris, where he struggles to put his ideas in place. He struggles with the winning mentality of you have to win everything because you are Manchester United. 5th place or 6th place is not enough, like he was maybe at a time at Spurs. You have to go and win things if you are United and they pay compensation for you and you've got a wage bill of 400 million euros and you have the history and legacy of the club. So I still have a few question marks, but I think he's a great guy, great coach. He will certainly take this club in the right direction. But how many years will it take him to build what he wants to build at United? I just don't think you have time at PSG or at United like you have time at Spurs.
No, maybe not like Spurs, but I mean, Solskjaer got 3 years, so without ever really looking good.
But Solskjaer got 3 years because of his past as a player there, which Poch doesn't have.
Well, maybe Poch will if they do have to pay 30 million. That's reason enough.
Well, thank you very much for watching ESPN on YouTube. For more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for live streaming, premium content, and let's not forget as well, ESPN FC 7 days a week. Subscribe to ESPN Plus.